Over the past couple days, we've got to witness the most terrifying thing about this Toronto Raptors team. And no, it's not the emergence of Grady Dick. No, it's not Scottie Barnes becoming a star. No, it's not the rookies that are coming out and playing outstanding for this Raptors team to start off this season. It's not any of that. It's one thing that frankly paved the Toronto Raptors the way to win an NBA championship, to be in a position to trade for Kawhi Leonard and all things alike. And it's something that fans that have been looking to tank, that are looking to compete, everyone has been clamoring for over the past few seasons, and it's finally happening. And we can't lose sight of this. So we got to break it down in this video. Before we do, folks, you guys have been crushing it, hitting the like button in recent vids. It's helping out the vids a ton. It helps me out a ton. So if you're enjoying the coverage of the Toronto Raptors, you're tuning into the vids and everything that's going on, make sure to hit that like button. It means the world to me. But what's going on with the Raptors right now? Because I know a lot of people might be looking at the title like, Ben, we lost to the Timberwolves. It wasn't necessary. I guess it was a close game. The Raptors especially had some pushes. This wasn't like your classic blowout, even though the Timberwolves did win from start to finish. What are you talking about here with the most terrifying thing? Is it Grady Dick? And that's a part of it. But the Toronto Raptors are a team, are an organization that won a championship that some people kind of point to on the surface level. Oh, a big sort of Kawhi Leonard trade. That's the thing that went down. But no. It was years of internal development, taking guys like Norman Powell, taking guys like DeLon Wright, taking guys like Fred VanVleet, taking guys like Pascal Siakam, taking a bunch of these players that Jakob Poeltl, that not necessarily end up being on that championship winning roster, but developed into legitimate NBA players. So Masai Ujiri could either integrate them into that championship core or use them as sort of assets, trade chips to move the right pieces and build the right way. And this is what we're finally getting to see with this Raptors team, because again, I raved about Mobo, I've raved about Shed. I'm a big Shed head out here on this channel, amped up with Jamal Shed's start to this season. But we're seeing every single night just some Toronto Raptors really shine, really blossom, get the opportunity to develop. And obviously the big one the other night was Grady Dick, and we could take a look at what he was able to do out there on the basketball court. Obviously he's going to be able to knock down threes, but the way that he's making reads, coming off screens, again, he's getting trailed there. Matt Thomas is just firing up that three. Grady Dick's curling off that screen and letting it fly in the mid-range. Not just forcing up shots. If he gets closed out, he's able to go off the dribble and take this. And you can see if his defenders' eyes aren't locked in on him, he can make some really effective cuts out there around the basket and hit some tough shots, right? He can make slashes. He's hitting different types of shots, whether it's pull-ups, floaters. And here, you see kind of a screen action, a little fade, good read out there. His defender sagging. He's not rushing a curl. He's not rushing a backdoor. He can still make those reads off the dribble again. A nice curl, a nice catch and curl attack. And his release is crazy high. That shot was over Rudy Gobert. Another floater over Rudy Gobert. And again, in transition, off a tough pass, can still catch and let it fly at a quick rate. And this is the thing about Grady Dick. And this is the thing that's different about this Toronto Raptors team right now. Because we could look at Grady Dick this time last season, and frankly, he was not nearly the player that he was. He's a spot-up shooter, yes. And he was hustling, yes. But his ball handling did not look confident whatsoever. He wasn't able to finish around the basket, whether it be a combination of strength, whether it be a combination of just, touch around the rim. But there were many holes in Grady Dick's game this time last year. And what we just saw through those highlights, through those clips, through the stuff that went down, right? Not only is he, able to shoot off the dribble, but he's able to attack, take bumps, make reads around off-ball screens, and finish around the basket. And whether it's a floater, whether it's, a contested, really tough kind of, float, dribble, pull shot, right? He has that high release. He has that finishing ability. And this is exactly what people have been calling for the Toronto Raptors. And it's the reason the last sort of round, the Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby era we didn't get to reap the fruits of that benefit, because the development guys, the Malachi Flynn's, the Precious Achuas, these types of players that are out there on this team, they just didn't fall into place. We were always a top-heavy squad with that roster, with that group, with that team all come together. And frankly, it just didn't work out, right? We became top heavy, those guys became expensive, and we knew that core with that roster as constructed, there was no real avenue to turn that team into a championship winning squad. Even some of the guys we were hoping was, again, Fred VanVleet, Pascal, OG, they were a part of the initial development run in terms of, deep bench guys early on in their Raptors career that became stars out there in the NBA. But we were hopeful that even a Gary Trent Jr., who was more polished when we traded for him, during that time, during this Raptors era, right, would turn into that, would increase his level of play, but really stagnated and fell off for the Toronto Raptors group. And basically what we're seeing now, whether it's a Grady Dick or whether it's really anyone on this Raptors team, I mean, we can look at the Minnesota Timberwolves box score game, because again, Scottie's taken a step up, right? Abaji's finishing around the rim has just been immaculate, and he hit 3 of 5 from the three-point line tonight, right? And again, this isn't going to be an every single game ordeal. There's going to be ups and downs. As we saw, Grady Dick didn't have the greatest game out there against the Sixers. That is what it is. But Ochai's 3 is developing, and he's improved a ton, finishing around the basket. Off the bench, Jamison Battle, right? This guy's someone that in the previous stints, and I've been looking at Sixers Reddit, people are turning on Nick Nurse down there, and I'm a big fan of Nick Nurse. I think he's a really good coach. But again, development is not his strongest suit, right? But Jamison Battle, someone we're able to develop, give minutes to, and he's been really outstanding off the bench for this team, right? Mobo, even in a game where he's not as hot as he was, not as great looking as he was against the Sixers, he's still getting 9 minutes of run. There's still that opportunity. There's still minutes for him to be out there on the court. And obviously, once RJ, once Bruce Brown, once Immanuel Quickley, all these guys come back, it's going to be tough to, play 15 guys on a night in, night out basis. But still, we can look at it compared to even the Minnesota Timberwolves, right? They only ran 9 guys in this game. Now, they're a more defined kind of team. They're more, trying to win now at this point. But again, Darko Rajaković, what he's been able to do, what he's been able to integrate and just give these young players opportunities to blossom. Like, we haven't seen a breakout game from DJ Carton, but his confidence seems to be growing with every opportunity. And even though there's a couple turnovers, he misses a couple of shots, that is what it is, right? Like, we can actually see what we have at the end of this bench. And I know a lot of people might criticize, and there's still a lot of room for growth for Darko Rajaković in terms of, being a head coach, being a tactician, doing different stuff out there for this Raptors team. My big criticism of Darko is sometimes he doesn't call timeouts at the perfect optimal time. Other teams are going for runs. He'll, let things slide a little bit too long. But again, he's 3 games into his second season as a head coach out there, right? But his ability to just, his philosophy of getting the most out of guys, getting players, right, the vibes back. And that's been memed to death last season. It's, we're just going to be a bad team, worried about the vibes. Let's roast Darko. And whatever, the corny post-game speeches, whatever you want to call it. But frankly, Darko Rajaković, at least at the sample size we've seen of preseason, heck, even summer league, we've seen some impressive outings. And now the first 3 games of the season, obviously we're 1-2. We aren't like in, a team that's guaranteed going to be making a deep playoff run this season. But I've said it from the jump. I don't care about the wins and losses about this year. I'm not stressed about it. What I want is to see this roster of guys, the people that we have on this team here right now, we get the most out of the team that we have. And, we have some talented players. So I think with that, wins will come. But if they don't, and we have games like we had against the Minnesota Timberwolves this weekend, where, again, there's a clear talent, there's clear development, there's a clear, difference in talent level. That just is what it is, right? You're going to lose those games most of the time, even no matter how hard you try, just, in a rebuilding year. We're in year 1 of a rebuild. And we didn't have RJ, we didn't have IQ, we don't have Bruce Brown, we don't have Kelly Olynyk, so we don't have some crucial pieces to this roster that we currently have out there in the mix. But I just want to see this roster maximized. I want to see these guys get the most every single game, every single night, and that's what I'm watching these games for here right now, because that's the terrifying thing about the Toronto Raptors. It's why we were sort of named with the Heat for so many years, is, just a team that finds diamonds in the rough, and we moved away from that. That's something that hasn't really been coming to fruition over the past few seasons, but if we get back to that, and then we have Scottie Barnes take that star level emergence, we get one of IQ or RJ Barrett become that all-star level caliber player, if we get hit on some more draft picks, if we hit on some more guys that we brought in already onto this team, then again, it's not going to be right now. We're not going to come out and, probably, maybe, I'd be hopeful. I'd love to see a nice 10-game win streak as the Raptors face off against a bloodbath of an opening schedule, but 2 years down the line, man, we aren't going to be in that sort of treadmill area, even though we're not bottoming out the roster. It's just not something that's going to end up happening for this team. So I am very, very happy with what the Toronto Raptors are doing. This is the thing that we've wanted to see from this Raptors group over the past, few seasons, but we're finally getting it here now. So I'm very positive. I'm very hyped up about the direction of this Raptors team. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. You guys are listening this far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.